Good evening. This is Maestro Cretella with a Dawn of War 2 Retribution Elite modcast. Today, we have a 3v3 on Argus Desert Gate. Our first player is Pibb, playing as the Lord General. The Lord General is the only hero who is a squad. He's got these retinue members. He's also got a bunch of war gears that give him a lot of buffs that he can use to support his allied guardsmen and such. Next up, we've got Osinski playing as Sindri Trollface, Chaos Sorcerer. I believe this is the Alpha Legion. Chaos Sorcerer is a spellcasting hero who also has some control and teleportation. Next up, we've got Pibb playing as the Apothecary. The Apothecary is a healing hero for the Space Marines. He's got a targeted heal, a passive heal aura, and later a much more powerful active heal aura. This one, well, definitely one of the new elite schemes, but I don't remember which one. Next up, we've got Noisy, many-time monthly Rumble Tournament winner. I don't remember exactly how many, but like 4 or 5 or something. Playing as the Orc Warboss, big, tanky melee hero wearing a truck on his back. He's got great globals like Use Your Choppas and Ard Boys, and he's just really tough and stomps and can be very aggressive. Next up, we've got 2 Force Commanders. Our first one is Zato, just rocking the Blood Ravens, that old free, well, not quite free, you had to do a Steam Summer Sale achievement to get it, but that old DLC with Blood Ravens and such. Force Commander, tanky melee hero, disrupts, tanks, etc. And then finally, we've got Max Power as another Force Commander. So, I'm a little surprised to actually see Osinski here playing as the Chaos Sorcerer. I mean, he does play Chaos, but I've never ever seen this Sorcerer. So this is a rare sight for me. We'll see how well he does with that. He's got double Heretics, so he can do the double infiltration in order to infiltrate both squads of infiltrating Heretics. Meanwhile, Pibb in this lane right here did successfully force off these Slugger Boys trying to bash the generators. I wonder if maybe they got a generator bash on one of the generators, or if, well, only 2 were built. Meanwhile, back up here, we actually have a Flamer Guardsman purchase from Pibb, so that allows him to bash generators very, very quickly. It is always slightly surprising to see an Imperial Guardsman player get Flamers on their Guardsmen, since that means you can't change them to plasma guns later on, which are definitely the better upgrade overall. But if you do get Flamers on your Guardsmen and you do manage to successfully bash generators with them, it can actually be worth it if it actually gives you like a tech advantage. Anyway, Pibb right here now has to deal with 2 single entity melee units. So at this point, well, he's only got 1 squad of shotgun scouts, attack, and the Apothecary. No 3rd squad yet, so I don't know. I think he's going straight for Assault Marines, but between Slugger Boys, the Pain Boy, and the Warboss, I think it would be worth as well to get another squad of shotgun scouts. Back up here, Blue Team has taken the contested VP, and so far they have not lost any real VPs yet, still sitting on 500. And we have a multi-laser turret up, which is usually pretty good early on in the game for holding a point, pretty much. Anyway, the Warboss is still here, and again, I feel like this is part of the consequence of not going for a second squad of shotgun scouts. Meanwhile, he's floating at this point, since he could get anything from Tier 1, unless he's planning to go straight to Tier 2, which I doubt, and it would not be a good idea anyway. His scouts are in a lot of trouble. Back up here, Devastator Marines nearly get wiped by Heretics or something. My guess is that they were teleported by the Sigil of the Rift. Yes, Osinski does have that. So he probably teleported those Devastators with the Sigil of the Rift and did not completely succeed in wiping them. Heavy weapon team here for the Imperial Guard. The positioning of this heavy weapon team, I think, is pretty much going to guarantee this engagement in favor of the blue team, and yeah, that's mostly the red team getting forced off. And risky for, let's see, yeah, Zato and Max Power going for Devastators when they've got a Sorcerer to deal with. I think they would be better off going for Assault Marine plays instead of Devastator plays, but we'll see how it pans out for them. This squad of Slugger Boys straight up just needs to retreat. Still, I mean, at this point, they're probably safe from the Apothecary. Apothecary actually tanking against the Warboss. Apothecary does have the Sanguine Chainsword, allowing him to restore health with each strike, although the Warboss is still quite a bit tougher. He is upgrading to the Bang Bang Hammer, so we're seeing a fully upgraded Warboss in Tier 1, and we do have some Assault Marines for Pibb. Now, these Assault Marines, they do have... well, I thought they had that special skin, but, well, they look nice. Sneaky Sentinel decapping going to be in a lot of trouble when it gets pincered by both attacks as well as all of the range fire stuff here. If Pibb does not move this now, he could be in a lot of trouble. Alright, going through the wall was really nice because it means he could... that was pretty much the shortest path he could take and also block line of sight to these attacks right here. Meanwhile, the Warboss doing what the Warboss does. And if anything, I'm surprised it's not lasting a little longer. But maybe we'll see a Pain Boy heal. Actually, this engagement now not looking good for Noisy. He just might lose the Warboss right here, although the Assault Marines are taking damage, getting damage returned to them by the Warboss's spiky armor. You know, infiltrated Sorcerer. So yeah, we're seeing a lot of infiltration. Now, both squads use their worship, so that means they will infiltrate each other. It's overlapping. Multi-laser turret opens fire, and ooh, that's a nice answer. We do have the... wow, we've got the Storm Shield from Zato's Force Commander, but there goes another Sigil of the Rift. Not the greatest, since he didn't really have all of his heretics quite ready, but unfortunately not really a good response from Zato, and he's definitely going to lose it now. So I think when he got it teleported, that should have been an immediate retreat, but pretty nice push overall from the red team, although it looks like, I don't know if they're still going to make it, because still this heavy weapon team kind of allowing them to hold, or at least keeping the blue team on the field, although the red team does manage to actually get the blue team off their natural and get the point. However, the red team has lost their own natural. And when I said, did I say get their natural? I meant get them off the VP, get them off the contested VP. The Vengeance Round Devastators definitely do a lot of damage to a Sentinel, so that's a pretty nice answer, specifically to keep the Sentinel at bay. I mean, there's already a lot of range fire, but I feel like the Vengeance Round Devastator, or Advanced Targeting, does very, very well and very, very efficiently against the Sentinel, since it really by itself it can really threaten the Sentinel, and the Sentinel really needs to back up. Anyway, Pibb needs to be extremely, extremely careful here. I don't feel that this is really a winning engagement for him, and especially Noisy is focusing entirely on the attacks. He was ignoring the Assault Marines. Wow, and that was man, I forget that ability. But it's the ability that the Pain Boy has that makes members of a targeted squad explode. It's kind of like a Doom Blast, although I think it also does knock back to that squad's units as well. So like if you use it on Slugger Boys, I think it also knocks the Slugger Boys back. You don't see it very often. Anyway, Death Dread out on the field for Noisy. I was about to call him Nosy. And let's see, Pibb is not even to Tier 2 yet, so Noisy is already upgrading to the Burners, and we should see him rush forward, burn down this power farm, and where are the rest of his squads as well? He only has one squad of Shooter Boys, and they're unupgraded. I wonder if he lost a squad of Shooter Boys, especially since the Pain Boy is his second unit, which is the second unit in his unit roster, which is definitely sounds uncommon. I doubt he just got the Pain Boy as his second unit. Probably got a squad of Shooter Boys, probably lost them, and yeah. Alright, Death Dread will undoubtedly burn down this whole power farm. We do see a quick anti-vehicle response from Pibb with the missile attack, but Noisy is going to distract the missile attacks with the Warboss. The attacks will either be tied up, start losing models from that power claw, or they will have to just kite away and just run away. See, I think the Warboss should keep doing that, because he wants to, obviously, he doesn't want to just let the Death Dread take damage, and right now the missile attack is really the only squad that Pibb has that's going to threaten the Death Dread. Although now he's targeting the Apothecary. He is going to win against the Apothecary, though, despite the Apothecary's Sanguine Chainsword, but now his Death Dread is in a lot of trouble. Alright, he does take out the Apothecary. He should go back to tying up the attacks, and overall this is looking pretty good for Noisy here and not so good for Pibb. Missile attack gets off another shot, but it's not going to be enough. Warboss at this point should back off though. Anyway, Chaos Dreadnought from Osinski, and this is a Khorne Dreadnought for the Alpha Legion. There's a lot of stuff going on here. This Khorne Dreadnought probably looks very interesting, but let's keep watching the engagement first. Will the Force Commander go down? No, but the attacks will get knocked over by a special attack from the Chaos Dreadnought. We also have a Space Marine Dreadnought from Zato and a Space Marine Dreadnought from Max Power, so double Dreadnoughts. Meanwhile, and won't be able to look at the Khorne Alpha Legion Dreadnought through the infiltration that well. Manticore Strike going in, always a good thing to get in team games. I feel like if you are playing Imperial Guard in teams, I feel like you have like a responsibility to get a Manticore in teams. Alright, so we do have a Khorne Dreadnought, but we also have a Force Commander with a Power Fist. And that's definitely going to make life a little bit hard for the Dreadnought, especially this Power Fist Force Commander does have the teleport pack as well. But the blue team is actually really holed up in the top lane, just between the Worship. Now we have a Shrine, this heavy weapon team that has pretty much always been in a good position. Khorne Dreadnought chasing down the Death Dread, and I like this chase. Unfortunately, we should see the Khorne Dreadnought get slowed down by Flesh Over Steel. That's not too good, but Osinski is the Sorcerer, so he should be able to teleport it out, assuming he has enough red, which he does. And yeah, we should see a teleport on this Khorne Dreadnought, because it's clearly not going to win this engagement, but he might want to get the Death Dread first, and there we go, it's teleported out to save it. So double cap still for the blue team. They still have their own natural as well as the contested VP. Red team is moving down in the middle, very interestingly. And I think part of what makes sense here is that Noisy is moving to the middle rather than really bothering that much with his lane. The bottom lane on this map is very critical in the early game, and it becomes less and less relevant as the game goes on. And definitely by Tier 3 in the late game, it's definitely a much better use of that bottom lane player's time and resources if he moves up to the middle or even the top. Alright, this autocannon always seems like it's uncontested. Of course, before it was a heavy bolter, taking some shots at the Dreadnought, doing a lot of damage to it, and blue team has just had a very complete hold on the top. So much now that we see a push by the red team. By a push by the blue team to actually keep going. Creeping Barrage doing a lot of damage to some of these scouts, nearly wiped some of the scouts. One of them is down to 1 hit point, other one down to less than 30. Alright, Vengeance Round Devastator is in the building. Some grenades are going in from the Grenade Launcher Heretics from Osinski. That plasma cannon shot was pretty scary. I was worried it might have actually wiped those heretics. And where did this Dreadnought come from? I feel like it came out of nowhere. We got a flank from Max Power as well as Noisy. Flesh Over Steel on the Sentinel. How often do you see that? And look at the damage that it's doing to that Sentinel. He wants to wipe the heavy weapon team, and that was very critical. We also see the Husk of the Manticore, so that thing was done. Can the Force Commander finish this Sentinel off? And yes, he does. What a play by Noisy and Max Power. Unfortunately, it's going to cost Max Power his Dreadnought. I feel like, the Dreadnought loss is pretty big, but they still made some pretty big plays. I would actually say the Manticore, but now he's going to lose the Force Commander as well. I think if he got the Force Commander out of there, that would have definitely been a win overall for the red team. Especially because they got the Manticore, which, although it doesn't cost as much as a Dreadnought, it's definitely much harder to get at. Anyway, unfortunately, it looks like Zato is going to lose his Dreadnought. Khorne Dreadnought chasing. It's going to be a close call. There are a lot of repairs. Actually, the Khorne Dreadnought is not going to make it, but the Khorne Dreadnought is still being extremely impressive. The question is, are they going to do anything about this guard tower right here? Because this guard tower is being uncontested. Space Marine Dreadnought goes down, so a lot of losses, although Pibb lost a ton of things, very surprisingly. Chaos Dreadnought is actually doing anti-garrison by doing splash damage through the building, which makes absolutely no sense, but it's just something that happens.
Allies have captured a requisition.
It looks like the Devastator. I don't think the Devastator is going to get out of there alive. Sorcerer will target, and that's the end of that Devastator. So many things died just in those past 2 minutes, and we still have this Warboss here. Now with the heavy armor, the power claw, and the angry bits, this is so tough to deal with. Just because the Warboss is so tough. Now, I've been saying it before, I think it would be really, really worth Pew's while to get a second squad of Shotgun Scouts. Maybe a Devastator as well, just to deal with this Warboss. Really keep him under control. Don't let him do anything. Because right now he's doing way too much. Even though he might die, he's just doing way too much damage because it's just so hard to kill him because he has so much health. Now, one of the things that's definitely is right is that he does have Stern Guard veterans. Right now they have Vengeance rounds loaded in. They need to load in some Hellfire rounds whenever that Warboss is near. That's definitely... The Hellfire rounds on the Stern Guard veterans are definitely one of the best assets. I think it's one of the best assets that Space Marines received in Elite Mod that they don't have in retail. It really gives them something that they didn't really have back in retail. Anyway, a looted tank out on the field for Noisy. He has lost a lot of stuff, but that looted tank should probably be able to pretty quickly take out the Chaos Shrine of Tzeentch. I'm not sure if it still has sight. Ooh, but we have the Lord General charging in. He's got melt guns of his own. The Stormtroopers have melted guns, but they do just retreat out of there. That was actually, if anything, a surprising retreat. Oh, I think he didn't want to get hit by that plasma cannon shot. And here is the Force Commander. Must have teleported in here. Yeah, Zato. Now he doesn't have the Power Fist, or he doesn't. He was the one who had the Storm Shield before, actually. But wow, Zato really lost most of his army. I don't know how that happened. But this Chaos Dreadnought in a lot of trouble unless we see another warp. I don't think Osinski has the red. He doesn't have the red, so this is probably the end of this Dreadnought. Can we get a nice look at it before it goes down? That is the Alpha Legion Dreadnought. It looks like a Raptor.
A power node is now in friendly hands.
And here are those Stern Guard veterans. Definitely going to help a lot against the Warboss. Assault Cannon Dreadnought for... Whoa, look at Osinski's... Look at Osinski's float. Well, he hasn't been buying that much, but he could straight up put out 2 squads of Chaos Space Marines, and then by the time those Chaos Space Marines finish, he could probably put out a Great Unclean One or a Phobos. Ooh, Plasma Cannon Shot, double Plasma Cannon Shots. We've got double Plasma Cannon Devastators. I've noticed that Zato really likes those Plasma Cannon Devastators. It does seem like in just about any given team game, he will go for that Plasma Cannon Devastator. So this is potentially scary. We do see the Lord General. He's got melta guns of his own, as well as Stormtroopers with melta guns. If they can actually get into range, they'll definitely take out something like a looted tank pretty quickly, even with the extra armor. I think this is just a lot of damage, a lot of anti-vehicle damage with 2 squads of melta guns. But the Lord General is doing other stuff, going for the cap. Unfortunately, he's not going to get it right now. Stormtroopers revealed themselves. Oh my god, they take a massive cannon shot and nearly get wiped. So that... Wow, they might still get wiped now. So that cannon shot on the looted tank, unfortunately this looted tank is definitely going to go down. That cannon shot on the looted tank is pretty nice. Even though the DPS is lower than a Space Marine Predator autocannon, it fires much more slowly, so that means it does much more damage per shot. But this is definitely a dead looted tank. Definitely, maybe, probably. Probably. It's at 4 health. It's being shot at by bolt pistols. It was probably actually finished off by a chainsaw, though, which can actually finish off a vehicle. Anyway, some kind of call-in. I don't know if we're going to see some Space Marines right here. Wow, we see a Terminator call-in far behind enemy lines. That is very, very... Well, I guess the Force Commander is here to support, and they teleport away immediately. I don't think that was necessary. And now, is that Ardboys? That is Ardboys from Noisy, I think. Or it is the Force Commander. No, that's Ardboys. That is straight up Ardboys on those Assault Terminators. And I mean, if you think about it, that's a great combination because of how ridiculously tough Terminators already are, or are they? Because they seem to be taking a lot of damage. We also have 4 the Emperor on them. They also don't have their teleport because he used it prematurely. He's taking Tzeentch Chaos Space Marine Fire, Melta Fire. All of these things actually do a lot of damage to super heavy infantry armor. So these Assault Terminators are probably going to lose a model. Meanwhile, we have this Dreadnought from Pew undoubtedly going to die, and here is the Land Raider Redeemer from Max Power slowly moving in. bringing all of its guns to bear. The assault cannon firing at very, very long range, while the flamers start lighting things up once it gets closer. Melt-a-bomb thrown in from the stormtroopers, who have a weird retreat, but that doesn't really do enough to the Land Raider Redeemer. Land Raider Redeemer just scares them off. I didn't realize we've got a significant VP lead for the blue team, 413 to 82. Wow. I mean, it's been feeling even just because of all the action, but red team, they did definitely have that pretty strong hold of the top VP for a while. So that probably contributed to some of it. Tome of Subjugation on the knobs. Doesn't last very long though, and those knobs, well, they just kind of walk away. Baneblade out. Wow, I didn't even see the Baneblade. Baneblade and the Phobos. Now, unfortunately for Max Power's Land Raider Redeemer, certainly the combination of the Baneblade and the Land Raider Phobos has a major, major advantage over the Land Raider Redeemer. Now, of course, the Land Raider Redeemer does have the support of knobs, support of Assault Terminators, as well as a Power Fist Force Commander. Demolisher Cannon shot goes in. Meanwhile, we actually do have some action still taking place over at this contested power farm. Will Pugh recognize? Yeah, I was guessing that he was just sending his scouts to, like, bash late in the game, maybe get some red. Pugh actually has a ton of red, over 800, so we could see an orbital bombardment out of him from any time. Noisy has enough for a rocks. Meanwhile, Osinski has a massive amount of resources. He is floating majorly, and he's not getting stuck. I think he should just put Chaos Space Marines out on the field. For the amount of damage they do, here is that rocks trying to catch up both the Land Raider Redeemer as well as the Baneblade. Both kind of drive out of the way, and that actually ends up not doing a whole lot. Pugh, if anything, driving into it. Now a las cannon on Pugh's Space Marine Predator, but no extra armor, and the Leman Russ. The armored force that is coming out of our blue team players right now is ridiculous, incredibly, incredibly powerful. Just got to be careful not to lose individual tanks, especially the weaker members of this tank battalion. Although the Land Raider Phobos moving to the side, going for the contested VP, it is only about half of its health. Meanwhile, the Baneblade, of course, definitely well, arguably the strongest overall of the super unit tanks. It is, of course, the most expensive. I'm not sure the anti-vehicle damage output of the Land Raider Phobos might actually be higher, but the Baneblade does, of course, also have the Demolisher Cannon. It's also much tougher, has much more health than the Land Raider Phobos. But anyway, Baneblade now in a huge amount of trouble. Nothing to stop the knobs or the Assault Terminators. This is actually where the Land Raider Phobos would have been helpful, but here is an orbital bombardment. Baneblade can't just stay there, it needs to move back, and the Force Commander are going to finish it off. So Baneblade gets finished off. I thought that orbital bombardment might save the Baneblade, but Baneblade down already for Pibb. But meanwhile, now we've got double Predators for Osinski, one upgrading to Nurgle, the other one still with no upgrade. Meanwhile, Space Marine Predator has to be careful. So that was a rather unfortunate set of events, or an unfortunate turn of events for, particularly for Pibb. Just got caught with knobs and Assault Terminators rushing his Baneblade. And unfortunately, he didn't have anything to stop it, so that kind of raised the questions, where were the Shotgun Scouts to stop the knobs? Unfortunately, Land Raider Phobos, if it had been down in the middle, it could have used the Dirge Caster, and that could have been enough to save the Baneblade. So Baneblade down very, very quickly, despite what should have been like the centerpiece, well, and it probably was the centerpiece of that, basically that blue team armored force. Alright, Predator now in quite a bit of trouble. It can't move because of Flesh over Steel. Alright, now it can finally move, and it just gets out of there. Well, no, it doesn't actually. What am I even saying? Flesh over Steel, quite very, very powerful right now. Anyway, this Leman Russ has the Executioner Cannon. No, it has the Vanquisher Cannon. I'm totally off today. Vanquisher Cannon taking shots. I believe that will hit the Assault Terminators accurately. More of the anti-vehicle weapon. Man, if only the Leman Russ here wasn't being chased down by... you know, Leman Russ should... Oh, no. Alright, let's just do it. And he's even stopped microing it, unfortunately. Wow. So red team coming back quite amazingly. However, the Predator actually does go down, although it took out a Lumen Rust in the process, so that is roughly an even trade. Oh, this is now very, very nice. Subjugated Terminators actually finished off, was that the Pain Boy? Finished off the Pain Boy? Oh, and now they are screwed. They are just done. So good use of subjugation for Osinski.
Message received.
And Zato is again finding himself with no units whatsoever. Very, very risky to get Terminators against a Sorcerer player, but not quite impossible. So Max Power still has his Terminators, but Zato did lose it to, well, the stuff that makes it really dangerous to get Terminators against a Sorcerer. This Chaos Sorcerer has Tome of Subjugation, Robes of Torment, and Rod of Warpfire. I feel like I haven't seen the Warpfire, but, you know, it does increase his passive, his ranged attack, as well as his melee attack, so it is pretty much a straight buff to him, to his standard combat skills in addition to the ability, which does make it a pretty good upgrade, although it is a little on the expensive side. Anyway, a hero goes down here. Which hero? Can't even see. It is an Apothecary with the Power Axe. Knobs are just up all in here, eating some Vanguard veterans alive. Took them down to, surprisingly, only 3 models, and I'm missing a Rocket Run. Rocket Run, I think, finishes off a Luna, and I'm not sure what else it did. Anyway, Knobs are still in here. Still have 5 of their models. Will they lose any on retreat? Yes, one does go down in retreat, and another gets knocked down by a friendly plasma cannon shot. We have Guardsmen. Wow, so the blue team doing a... Well, the red team doing a lot to even this out right now, but the Force Commander goes down again for max power. There are so many hero deaths in this game. But yeah, VP is much, much more evened out. 221 to 76. Knobs are up all in here. Oh, unfortunately, wow, both the Land Raider Phobos and the Predator are in a huge amount of trouble. I can't believe the Predator is still alive, but this Land Raider Phobos, Dirgecaster is still on cooldown, so this is a terrible position. Is Robes of Torment, I'm guessing that's on cooldown as well, or Osinski should be using it right now to save his Land Raider Phobos and snare all these things. Alright, he uses Warpfire instead, so that leads me to believe that it is on cooldown, and he loses the Land Raider Phobos. So unfortunately, in the past like 5 minutes, certainly the past 10 minutes, the blue team has lost something on the order of 4 or 5 armored vehicles, some of them very big, a Phobos, a Baneblade, and several Predators. Here is an Imperial Abyss, and that is, well, not that impressive, to be honest. I mean, it's doing damage to the Land Raider Redeemer, which is actually just staying in there and taking it, quite amazingly. And the Warboss is actually just staying in here, and as long as he's not in the center, he's not even taking that much damage. Meanwhile, another orbital bombardment. This one on the blue team's natural VP, keeping in favor of the red team for just a little bit. Lord General gets tossed around, and we have a heavy turret used as a way of guarding this VP. If anything, I think maybe the heavy turret could be farther back. Heavy turret does really have a lot of range, and but it's going for the Executioner instead. This time it is in fact the Executioner. But heavy turret has a lot of range with the standard cannon, so you can actually move pretty far back, and I think it could probably outrange a lot of squads trying to capture this contested VP. So we've got a new Predator out for Pibb, but has to be very, very careful about this Las Cannon Devastator that just took a shot. Luckily, the Las Cannon Devastator missed the Predator, shot at the Tax, doesn't have sight on the Predator anymore, so it's shooting at the Stern Guard veterans, rather. Level 4 Stern Guard veterans, and now he's just moving forward with the Predator because he is overwhelming the Las Cannon and just straight up kills it. Las Cannon Predator here needs to be very, very careful, needs to worry about Force Commanders that might teleport and hit it with Flesh over Steel, and then Assault Terminators that might also teleport in, all of which is very, very dangerous. Assault Terminator is going to teleport in even without the support of a Force Commander to Flesh over Steel it, which is definitely not going to be nearly as effective, and now these Assault Terminators taking a huge amount of damage from a bunch of Plasma Guardsmen, also the Stormtroopers. Wow, what is this Predator doing? Walking right in front of some Stormtroopers. If only those Stormtroopers had used their Melt-A-Bomb, then I'm sure the combination of the Stormtroopers as well as the Lord General could have finished off this Predator from Zato. Meanwhile, the Predator from Pibb does not have extra armor, upgrading to extra armor. Does have the Las Cannon. And here is a great unclean one from Osinski, and man, he's had so many resources. And I think part of the reason Osinski has had so many resources is that he really didn't get much in Tier 2. Kind of just fast tech to Tier 3, so he's always hasn't really bled much, and also hasn't had much upkeep. So he's in Tier 3 with a ton of resources, although, well, he's also spent a ton of resources, so he doesn't exactly have a ton of resources anymore. Because he's now got 2 Predators and a Great Unclean one, and those aren't even his first Predators or his first super unit. Manticore Strike goes in, does pretty nice damage to the Land Raider Redeemer. Oh no, this Predator is in deep trouble. It's probably not going to make it out of there, or the Luda loses sight range. Subjugated Knobs, targeting the Terminators. Unfortunately, this Predator from Osinski now almost guaranteed to die. Where is the Chains of Torment from Osinski? Is he? I mean, is it? He's got a level 10 Chaos Sorcerer, but where are those Chains of Torment? He's going to lose a Predator. I don't know if I'm just always catching the Chains of Torment when it's on cooldown, but I feel like it shouldn't be. There it is. Well, it may have just come off cooldown. Although that is an issue, though, if you use Chains of Torment at a suboptimal time, you might not have it ready when you really need it, since it does have a rather long cooldown. But Terminator's going to go down for Pibb. I think. No, that was max power. Those were max powers Terminators. Anyway, Vanguard's now jumping in. The Warboss has lost his icon, making him much, much harder to identify, even though he's a big dude. Alright, not a whole lot of VPs left for the red team, but, well, it's still evened out slightly. A Manticore Strike goes in to prevent the red team from getting... Wow, another nuke! So can the blue team get onto a point? Ooh, alright, well, alright, the Pain Point just being toyed with. If he had Battlecry, he could have used that to keep the Force Commander on the point. As it is, this might be the end of the game. Or we're going to see the Terminator's cap. Well, Terminators are going to go for the cap, but they are probably going to pay for it with their lives. They are losing a ton of health. They will just barely get the cap off. They cannot stay in there long enough to actually get the full cap. Las Cannon Predator takes out a Auto Cannon Predator. Those Terminators, they are undoubtedly done. So that buys them some time, but it costs the life of a squad of Terminators, which is no small feat, or it's no joke. Anyway, we have a lot of things still shooting at this Land Raider Redeemer. This Land Raider Redeemer is... We have some teleported knobs. Are they going to attack it? Well, not even necessary. I thought they were going to attack the Land Raider and finish it off, but other things finished it off. And this level 2 Las Cannon Predator for Pibb is actually doing pretty well. I feel like this is one of the longer-lived vehicles in the game, and possibly better microed. Although now it's driving back into some scouts. Doesn't want to find itself driving into scouts and then getting hit by a plasma cannon because it can't move. This Predator is now in a huge amount of trouble. Definitely going to take another Luda shot if it's not careful. And there it goes.
So that's 100 points.
So we've seen something like at least a dozen armored vehicles go down. Possibly more like, I'm going to say more like 20. Many Land Raiders were lost. Many Predators, all in service of the Emperor. Grenade goes in on the... I was actually surprised. I thought that was going to go in on the Luda and try to wipe them out, but actually went in on the Plasma Cannon Devastators. Did not do that much damage. Probably didn't hit them that well. And also, this is a level 2 squad of Plasma Cannon Devastators. Now almost level 3. Anyway, we've got Vengeance rounds, level 4 Vengeance rounds, as level 4 Stern Guard Vengeance rounds, as well as level 4 Missile Attack. That's actually going to do some pretty nice damage to the Assault Terminators. And VPs are now, at this point, definitely anyone's game, although Red Team, really with not that much to spare. But, well, Blue Team, they only have a few to spare, and they're getting hit by rocks. But the Great Unclean One is still here. Great Unclean One does have a lot of things he can use for victory point denial, but the Terminators are just putting themselves on the point, so yeah, we're going to need those Vanguards to start chopping them up. Because if Terminators get on a point, well, You really need something to do a lot of damage to them. Blue team looking like they might take this though, because we've got a bunch of stuff on the point. We've got Chaos Heretics as well as the Lord General. This should be GG, actually, because the blue team about to capture the point, and that's probably going to be it.
So we're losing a victory point out there.
Noisy calls the GG, and that is in fact it.
For the Emperor, sir.
All right.
Ever onwards.
Well, hope you enjoyed the cast. Have a good night.